There's my little notification. All right. Okay, so what I had for today's meeting is I have a list, but really I only see us maybe getting to like at least this two, maybe the third one. The first one will be family signs. The second one is going to be discussing like pronouns and how you would use those, such as like saying like possessive nouns, pronouns, types of kinds of ways of how you would, that kind of description. Sorry, I'm having to think for a minute. I'm trying not to turn into my teacher mode because my kids are also learning nouns. And so I'm like, I'm ready to be like, we got to learn about proper nouns and all that. I'm like, nope. Y'all know your nouns. I just got to show you the signs for them. So, and then I have the third one is learning some places. And then the last one I have what is WH question words. And the reason I don't know if we'll get to this one is because this one's kind of it's not a hard concept, but there's a lot of explanations of reasoning that has to be included in it. It's not always just signs itself. And so that one does tend to kind of be a little bit bigger of like a kind of conversation. So I do only see us going through like these three. So, all right. So the first thing I was going to have us do is family signs. So I don't actually know if I've ever actually started off with this sign, and I can't believe why I haven't, but the first sign I'm going to do is family. So the sign for family, you're going to make two F's on both hands, and you're going to have like your thumbs touching, and you'll go family, family, family. It's like you're making a circle with them, like you're bringing your pinkies to touch, family, family, family. And a cool fact about that is also like if you're saying group, class, it's the same thing, but with that motion. And I have seen people use group, the G's. So this is basically talking about a group of people. They may be family, they may be coworkers, they may be a team, like a sports team. That's the sign, that's the motion you use. And you can add the letter. I have seen some people who will just do this for class, group, family, whatever. But most of the time, this is what I see for family. So, all right, and then we'll start off kind of easy. So our first one will be mom. Mom is going to have your hand making the 5 motion, thumb touch your chin, mom. Then we'll have dad. Dad is the same, but now on your forehead. And one thing you'll start to notice as we're doing the other signs is that all the boy/male signs, like family signs, are going to be up around your head, and all female will be lower around your chin. So it kind of helps when you think because I always think about how, I don't know, I always think about the boys having hats, and the short hair. And sometimes I always try to be like girls have longer hair. Like, I mean, obviously that changes with how time goes and cultures go. But for me, that's how I always saw it. And it kind of helped me just kind of pick it up and go. So then we go on to brother. So brother is going to make the L with both hands. And I can close that door if I need to, and might more distract me than anybody. I just thought I'd point that out. So your non-dominant hand is going to be kind of resting like this. I know it's a very weird position. And your dominant hand is going to start on your forehead like this. Brother, brother. You bring it down. I tend to have my non-dominant hand's thumb kind of rested, not always at the top, not looking like, but just like kind of down rested. And then you do brother.
So we're not making guns.
No.
Okay, because that's kind of what it looked like.
Yes, I know. I was like, I'm trying not to make, I was like, I don't want to get to that point where I'm like, oh yeah, like it looks like, but I'm like, it does. But brother. Mm-hmm. And then sister is going to be the same thing, but from your chin. So sister. Now, one thing I will say is that there's another sign that's very similar to sister, and it's the sign for right. And right is just right. You don't touch your face, right? But it's that same motion. And so if you're still learning, you might end up saying my sister, and they might go that might be like you're right. Yeah, you're right about what? So right, sister. You want to make sure you touch your chin to be sister. Don't touch your chin to be right. And then we have, sorry, I have my list, but my list keeps kind of just disappearing on me because I'm not paying attention to the words. But anyways, so we'll have aunt. So aunt is going to be the A, and you're gonna shake it next to your chin. You don't want to be touching your chin. You don't want to be, it's just this, like right next to it. Aunt. And then we have uncle, which will be a U, and it's up top, uncle. Now for cousins, you'll make the C motion. And if you're talking about a specific cousin, like who, like a gender wise, like one specific cousin, my cousin Michael, you do cousin up top, or you could be cousin down low. So if you're just talking about like a group of cousins that you have, like all my cousins I was visiting, you can put it right in the middle. And that's just a non-specified gender for that. So that's kind of an easier, just cousin. And a lot of times I do see this one more, but if you're talking about a specific one, you need to be really like clear, like I'm talking about this cousin. I do tend to see they'll kind of show that motion, but most of the time it's this. All right, then we have grandmother. So you'll start again like mom, and then you're gonna go grandmother. You just bounce it out, grandmother, grandmother. And the same will be for grandfather. So grandfather, grandfather, good. And the reason I'm sideways is so again, you can see me bouncing because I just feel like you can't really determine how I'm moving. So if it looks like I'm in a wall, like I keep moving and I look kind of strange, it's so you guys can see me better. Okay, so now we're gonna review what we've learned, and then I'll go into some more different types of family signs and that. So we'll start with, again, mom, family. No, we're going to start with a sign for family because I've never done it before in this class. Family. I will make it my goal that this is the first one I use each time, because why would I tell you all the family signs but never tell you the sign for family? So family. Then we have mom, dad, sister. Sorry, I'm going slow, but it's really just like it's sister. Just kind of that, yeah. Brother, aunt, uncle, cousin, boy cousin, girl cousin, grandmother, grandfather. Now, one of my favorite things that I'll see kids do when they're talking about like their grandparents or maybe their great grandparents is they will get some kids really like to take and play with signs, and they'll kind of add their own little thing to it. And one of my favorite things they'll do when they're talking about one of their much older relatives is they'll go, my grandmother. And then they just keep bouncing their hand like they're just the great. And you just kind of look at them and you're like, I know you're not talking about like a relative 100 years ago. You're talking about your grandmother, but how dare you call her that old? It's funny to me. They'll go because they'll just be like, and they'll make the face too of like they're just keep having to go. And I'm telling you, it's funny working with deaf kids because they very much are just so full of expressions, and it's funny because they'll take it and they'll play with it. And I'm like, you know what? Go for you. You're being creative with your signs. Good. Anyways, that's just a little tidbit. Okay, so now what you would say for son and daughter is okay, before I do that, actually, let me give you the basic signs for boy, girl, man, and woman. That's kind of a helpful one. So the first one will be boy. So boy. And this is like almost like you're pinching the cap of a hat. So boy. And then girl. Now I know that there's every day and then there's girl. So every day is like you're almost making that repetitive motion every day. Whereas girls just kind of like you may kind of can bounce it, but you're not aggressively like going back and forth. You're just kind of bouncing girl. So when you're talking about your child, like especially if it's a boy, you would go boy, baby. So like my son. And the sign for baby is easy. So how you would think of when you're trying to say a baby. So son, daughter. daughter, son. So they just kind of add on. And then let's see. Okay, so for niece and nephew, you just basically do your ends again, niece, nephew. So it's that same kind of motion, niece, nephew. All right. Now for extended families, like added families, blended families, I don't know why I said added, I meant blended, sorry, that's just is for step families, you would just fingerspell the word step and then whatever it is. So my step brother. I love how I said sister. I always start with sister because I don't know what it is, but like I have a younger brother and sister myself, and they're twins. And just because they're the same age does not mean that I identify them as being the same age. I look at my sister as she's the middle child and my brother's the baby. He's the spoiled one. And so whenever, like, everyone goes brother, sister. No, I've always gone sister, brother. Like, I just can't not sign sister first because that's the order of it. And it's just the weirdest thing I do, but that's what I'll do. And that's why when I was forcing myself to go with stepbrother, it was not working because my brain wanted to say stepsister. Step. But yes, you would just fingerspell step and then you would add it. My step mom, my step dad, that. For in-laws, like my mother-in-law, you go mom in, you fingerspell in, just easily in, law. So law is going to be non-dominant hand is side palm again. Dominant hand is the shape of an L. And I'm going to turn it so you can see it. I just tap it twice. L, L. Law, law. And this is the sign for any types of law. Like I'm creating a law. Like this is law. This is the law. So law. And that's what you would use as mom in law. So let's see. If I remember someone asked me about adopted. So the signs, I asked one of my coworkers about that one because I was kind of curious how you would actually describe that, because my mind would think take, sign for take, like I've accepted and picked, but also that's a little, in English, if you said I took, this is my took child, you'd be a little, now what just happened? So and me, I'm going, okay, well, I learned English first, not ASL, so that sounds a little weird, but this is the sign for adopted. And again, any of these signs can be subject to be like, oh no, we have changed them, because it's like the English language, it's always changing, it's always evolving. They, are trying to be very, it's how English is. We're trying to be very socially correct, proper and all that stuff. So that also happens in ASL. Okay. Well, I went off on my little tangent there, so I have to come right back. So we did in-laws. What else is there? I think we did all the families. We'll go back, but let me ask if there's any family signs that you guys are curious about or need me to review before we do our full review. Good? Okay, perfect. Oh, so let me tell you the sign for kids, like saying my kids. That's a good one. Didn't do that one with the other classes. Poor them. They did not get to see this one. So kids is you're gonna make basically your llama, and you're gonna go like turn it sideways and kids. So okay, so your llama. And you're gonna have it where your pointer thumb is under your nose, almost like you're about to give yourself a mustache. Kids. And that's like saying like your kids. I do tend to sign it when I'm talking about my students, but that's kind of how I speak as is. I always be like, my kids, I work with those. And so that is the sign for kids. Also the sign for children is children. And you pat it down. It's not like wings. You want to it's almost like you're tapping the heads of all the kids in front of me. Children. All these kids in front of me. Children. And then, I realized what I forgot. Man and woman. So the sign for man and woman are very similar to mom and dad, but they have an extra step. So woman is going to be woman. Woman. And then man is man. So woman, man. Okay, now we can do a review now that I feel better knowing I've added those in. Oh goodness me, I have given y'all way too many and I need to go back real quick. Okay, so where were we? I know I said so we did aunt and uncle. Oh, okay, son and daughter. So daughter. Ooh, gotta lift mine. Daughter. Son. Then we have our step family. And don't feel nervous seeing me finger spell step really fast. Again, I can see it on your face. You're just like, whoa. I practiced and I practiced.
I was trying to remember what T was. I was like, how do you do T?
So I always think about it, it's like an angled T. I'm gonna try to see if I can make it, like here's the T. The T. If I drew it on, like you could see, like there's the line and then there's like the little whatever, I can't speak. You see what I mean? So that's how I see the T. But yes, trust me, once you practice your finger spelling, it gets to that what I call it. It's what it's called, but like being like almost like fluid with it. And that's where I can be like step. So I always worry because I remember when I first saw people finger spelling super fast, I was just like, I caught a letter, one letter, that's it. And like I just kind of stare at them, and then they'll be like, "You want me to repeat?" I'm like, "Mm-hmm." And then they'll do it again, and it's still fast, and I'm like, "I don't know what you said. I don't know." So I try to tell people, don't stress. It happens. You will learn from it when you practice your finger spelling. Okay. Again, me and my tangents, my guys, I go off so many of them. So then we have in-laws. So my mom-in-law. So mom-in-law. I-in-law. Law. Oh, excuse me. Okay. And what was the other families we did there? We did in-laws. Miss Katie, what were the other ones on that after the in-laws?
We did adopted, kids, children, and then man, woman.
Right. Okay. So then adopted, kids. Miss Katie, you can't get this one because if you're thinking about the llama, aren't you? Or are you thinking about just something else? Because like it's just
my pinky is my problem with my pinky.
Oh my goodness. I was like, I can just see you're just like, you can't even, every time you do it, you're just like, something's getting you. Yeah. Kids. So kids. Then we have children. Woman. Man. Oh, okay. I do have one more of the family. I just remembered, and then I promise I will not keep adding. No, I can't promise that. I really could very likely find another one. So I know myself. So parents, the sign for parents is parents. You do dad, mom and dad and mom. Parents. I saw you, Henry. So parents. I will say some people I will see saying with the P, parents, not really widely, not that it's not accepted, it's not really used. And sometimes I will see some deaf people when they say that, they're just like, they kind of just make like a motion of like, really, you had like, it's parents. So that is something I have seen, but I wanted to let you know that if you ever saw this also means parents. And this is being a little more, it's like I said, that little more where it's English rather than ASL, and having that P to clarify when it really doesn't. I've not seen really anything that would be close to this would be confusing with parents, but to clarify it again. Okay, now let's move on so I can talk again, me and my little talks about pronouns. One of the cool things I like about with ASL is things aren't always as complicated as we tend to make them. For example, with saying I, me, and my, in our sentences, we wouldn't say me go to the store, it's I go to the store. But in ASL, me and I are both pretty much me. And I mean, there is a sign for I, it's I, but the only time I ever use that is when I am trying to, like reading, when we're reading, I will use that to clearly say I. Like, and that's when I'm getting more of that English. I'm trying to get them to see and be more familiar with the English structure, not so much be focusing on the ASL. So me. And then for like saying he or she, there is no really definite saying this guy, like this, a he. You know, like how when we hear the word he, we know they're talking about a boy. Or when we know when they say she, we know they're talking about a girl. It's just pointing to the person like that. And so if you're trying to clarify that it's a boy or a girl, you would add the girl or the boy sign. So girl, that one, or boy, there. And then we have, we. Okay, sorry, I'm having to go through all my pronouns. We. So for saying like we, you would, I've seen we, I tend to do we. I almost make you, it's almost like a K. I know it looks like a K, but it's really just a V, and go back and forth like we or we. You see, like we. And you want to be, and this is one of those signs that some ASL signs are directed signs, basically, where they have direction is important and it's key to it. So if I was talking about, let's pretend I have someone right here. I have a friend, and I said, we're going to the store. That clarifies that it's us two. So like if you're in a group of friends and you're talking about how you and your best friend just went to go swimming yesterday, but you're going, and like they're standing next to you, but you're going, we went swimming. The person across from you is gonna be like, no, we didn't. Like, that wasn't me, that was someone else. So it's very like you, and it's something you kind of think, oh, that makes sense. Like that's not a hard kind of complicated thing, but I have seen it happen, and I'm like, you mean this one, right? This person. They're like, oh yeah. And I'm like, yeah, y'all too. And that's with my students. So they. So when you're saying they, it's the same thing, but now you're not included. You're not going to have one to you. You'll just go they, like those two, those four, them. So they. It can be also they, like them all, they. This one is more of a proper one, you know, not like our, you know, like how in Alabama in the South we say ain't when it really should be isn't, or is not. This would be the form of is not, isn't the proper, and then this one's like ain't. That I've seen, but this one works too, you know, and it's still proper. It's just not. That's the way I compare. It's not the greatest comparison, but you get what I mean. So them all. This one's more for like them all, like all of them. And then if you're saying like we, like all of us, we. You start from your corner of your dominant hand, like the shoulder of your dominant hand, and you go around. We. So this is a all of us. We. Mm-hmm. And I almost just kind of like, it's almost like I'm just letting my hand just do a full, like on the wrist, do a full circular motion. We, you know, doesn't have to be that whole famous like twist in your hand. It's just we. Now for for saying anything like possessive, like that's mine, that's theirs, that's his, hers, it's pretty much the same, but you're now, instead of having a pointer, you have your whole hand. So mine, my is my, mine, yours, theirs. Again, that motion. This is one where you want to be like theirs. You'd go theirs, ours. Like ours is kind of ours. Mm-hmm. I feel like we're doing like the Macarena sometimes when I do ours. Sometimes I'm always like, especially when I repeat it constantly, I'm always like, and then I'll see everyone else. I'm like, okay, it looks like y'all are doing the Macarena, but I know you're not. You're doing R. So those are for how you would describe with pronouns. They're not really complicated. I'll review them again, obviously, but they're just kind of simple. That's one of my favorite things that I like, is that it's just simple. It doesn't have all that crazy flowery language that's not always needed. That's just me. Okay, so me, him, he, she, her, all of that. See, 4 different words you have to use when you can just point to a person, even though my mother always taught me not to point at people because that is rude. But now I do. Them, like he, she, her, him, them, us, them, all of them, we, all of us, we. Man, it sounds really weird saying some of these sometimes. I don't know why. It's just my brain's like that. Just feels like I'm saying it wrong, but that's just me repeating it. Mine, my, yours, and this is also his or hers. I realized I wasn't clear on that. So if you're talking, again, this is where the eye contact comes in. So if I'm talking to you guys, I'd be like, this is your class. I'm pointing to you guys. But if I'm saying it's his class, like his or hers class, I'd be like, it's his class. You don't point it towards you. Again, it's directional. You point it towards who you are talking about or talking to. Theirs, ours. All right, so how do you guys feel on the pronouns? I feel those are kind of easy to pick up on, kind of realize, because again, it's very visual and we may not realize how well we can pick up on those visual cues. At least I've always been a very visual learner. So, okay, we're doing good on time. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't going straight ahead and we were about to be done and I was about to start a new subject kind of matter. Okay, so the last one we're going to work on is places. Now, obviously we will not get to every single place there is in the world because that's a lot, but we will get to some basic ones. And if we have time later on in the rest of this class, I may actually show you guys some signs for like the states and the countries and stuff, because I didn't do that last class. So I want to make that one kind of almost separate so we can let the other classes in the past know, so they can be like, oh, I didn't miss it. Oh, I get to see this. Okay. So for places, the first thing, of course, is the sign for place. Now, the sign for place is you're going to have your 2 Ks, and this one's weird. So if I make some weird moving the iPad, I apologize. You're going to put them sideways like this, and you're going to, starting away from you, have them touch, like have your, so I know I see the face. Okay. So, okay, let me, here we go. All right. Like this. You want it like this, sideways. It looks really weird. It's K's, but having your middle fingers touch and your pointer finger sticking out. Okay. Sorry, that was really weird. That was weird. That was an interesting moment. And then you'll go out and make a square. So you're going to start out away from you. You're going to start away from you, place, and you'll come inward. So starting out, you'll go place. And again, you're just making a square where you're starting in the middle of one of your lines and ending in the middle of your lines. Place. That is one of the weirdest and hardest signs to do on Zoom. Every time I teach it, I always have to find some other way to do it. So place. Okay. Then we have, so obviously, as a teacher, we're going to do the sign for school first. So school is going to be non-dominant hand is palm up. Dominant hand is also in a palm. And you're going to go school. And you just kind of clap, school. Okay. And then we'll do this one second, Miss Katie, so don't forget it this time. I have had some tendencies to forget the sign for library quite often. So the sign for library is you're going to have an L, and you're going to just spin it in circles, library. Perfect. Then the sign for store. So the sign for store is going to be like pinching like this, a little more down though. Yeah. And you're going to have it near your head and you're going to shake them. Store. store. So the sign for store, and that can be any kind of store, like going shopping for clothes, going food shopping, going furniture shopping. The way you specify is using those other signs, like the sign for food and the sign for clothes, which I know you guys have not learned yet. So I will add those. I'll give you the two basics, food and clothes, because those are two ones that are different that you would like to have something kind of different about. So the sign for food is food. One you can pretty much get, food. So food store, grocery store, and then clothes. It's your thumbs, they're just brushing off clothes. Clothes store. Clothes store. Okay. Then we have so for work, I've like for your jobs, for job I always finish well job, but for work it's non-dominant hand's a fist. Dominant hand is a fist but with that S. Basically, it doesn't have to be. I've just always had it that way. And you're just gonna tap your non-dominant on your dominant on your tap, non-dominant. Blah, blah, blah. Dominant on your non-dominant, yeah. And you want to have it basically your wrist tapping. See, your wrist tapping the top work. And what I'll do, well, for me, obviously, since school, I can say school, but for if I was describing my workplace, I would say workplace. Another way you could also say it is the sign for area. So area is this. Area is like you have kind of an open palm and you're just like area. So work area, like if you're in a big open area where you're sharing space, you're not having your own personal, like, this is my room and you would go area, my work area. Okay. Then we have, so the doctor's office. So wait, nope. Going back. Sorry, bathroom. Bathroom. That's an important one. So bathroom, you're gonna make the sign for a T and you shake it. Now, this one of my teachers told me, my college professors told me this one, and she is a CODA, which means she's a child of a deaf adult. So she grew up with these signs. So she knows, but she always told me how this one technically, she's always like, this one's like not ladylike in the joking sense, because this is the sign for basically toilet. And she's always asked us to use the sign for restroom, which is R, and you go restroom. You just tap it, restroom. But I hardly see that one. And hardly use that one. I'm not gonna lie. It's always bathroom. This one's more the common one. It's also like how you say, where's the bathroom? You don't say, where's the restroom? You always tend to hear more bathroom. It's like that.
Yeah, nobody says powder room anymore either.
Yes. I always feel I'm like, oh, I'm so not ladylike, not using these proper signs. But I'm also like, no one else does them. So, well, I mean, there's others, but the ones I'm around, they don't want to. I'm like, I don't want to either. So, okay, so bathroom. And then we have, I have like a list. And I had to change my list from what I used in the past because I got a new phone and it didn't save and all that happened. So I'm trying to be like remembering. So for doctor's office, you would go, sorry, I have a bug bite. Doctors, you're gonna have your non-dominant is palm up. Dominant is gonna be kind of like a bent motion. Doctor. Mm-hmm. And you can use this for, I need to see a doctor, like I'm going to the doctors. But if you had to be clear, you would go doctors. Oh, this is what I forgot. Okay, we're gonna pause on the doctor and come to this. The sign for room. The sign for room is, okay, this one's another weird one. You're gonna start basically like they're in front of you, like room, like this. Yes, and then you'll go sideways. So almost like you're creating a box. Room. And this one's kind of a generalized room. You know, you don't always, I tend to use this more for like classroom kind of deals and like this is my bedroom, my living room. But there is also signs that kind of specify, like for an office, you can use O's. It's the same thing. Office. Ooh, I'm slowing. Okay. Office. Yes. So this is why I paused with doctors. So for doctor's office, you would do doctor's office. Okay, so we're gonna stop right there real quick. Go back with the signs that we just just learned about place, and then I'll add a few more before we go. Okay, so we started with school. School. Excuse me, have the hiccups. Library. Library. Store. Grocery store. Clothes store. Then we had, what did we have after that? Bathroom. Restroom. And then we had doctor. Oh wait, area, that's right. Area. Doctor's office. Room. Oh my goodness. I looked at both of you and I went, oh, I realized something. The sign for place. Place. That weird PK place. The weirdest sign. Place. Then we had room. Office. Also for room, there are some people do use their R's and do room. Again, that is more that English like structure signing. I do tend to use the office for that though, because I think it helps clarify, when you're talking about I have a room, I have an office. They're different meanings. So, all right. I think is that all the ones we just went through? Okay. So
I have place, school, library, room, store, food or clothes, workplace, area, bathroom, restroom, doctor's office. Yeah.
Okay. I think I forgot workplace. Work. So the sign for work.
Oh yeah, workplace. Work.
Yeah, you said it, and then I was
place.
like, oh, I didn't say that one. So workplace.
Yes.
If you're describing a business, like if you work for a business company, you would have your non-dominant hand like this, and your dominant hand's a B, and you go back and forth. Business. Mm-hmm.
Are your hands touching?
So technically they are. I have them just very close. It's like brushing against it, basically. Here, I'll go slow motion. It's almost like right here touches the very tip when it hits the center. It's almost like that pendulum swing, when it's doing that whole motion. I'm doing like that kind of motion.
Or the old credit card machine. It was like.
Yes. I think actually, I know there was something about, I'm gonna have to look that sign up. I remember I learned something about that was like that in high school, and it was a very interesting sign because it was like the old credit cards machines. I think it's for the sign for credit card, but that's a different thing.
Well, the old credit card machine was the thing that you were like, you put the carbon paper in, and then you were like chonk chonk. Yeah.
Well, I think because the sign for card is card.
Card, yeah.
It's like a C on top card, and this is because this is for like note cards that you're writing, like thank you cards. Any kinds of cards. And so I think someone told me it was because of like for credit cards, something like that. I have to double check myself because I don't always use the sign for credit cards. So if I'm gonna ask specifically for a credit card, I always end up finger spelling credit, and then I'll do card, and most people get it, and we're going, So, but okay, so sorry, again, my backyard's alive with bugs right now, guys, and I keep getting bit, and I scratched one on accident, so I'm just scratching right now, and it's very distracting to myself. I'm trying to not, but I have no tolerance at all. Or no self-control. That's the word, not tolerance. Self-control. I have no self-control. I just scratch all day. It's really bad. So, okay. What was I going to say? The other places. Are there any places you guys are curious about? Obviously, there are tons more. I'm adding more in my head.
What about restaurant or like place to eat?
Yes, that was one I had saved to say and I forgot. So restaurant, you're gonna have your R's. You're gonna start on the opposite corner of your lip and go R. So just both sides. It's almost like how when you finish you eat, you kind of use the napkin, and you always see people go do restaurant. That's the sign for restaurant. Knew there was more. Oh, and then movie theater. And so for movie, so the sign for movie is non-dominant hand is again sideways. Dominant hand is kind of like almost like relaxed, kind of movie. And you just shake it back and forth, movie. I went to the movies. If you have to be specific about a place, that's again when you add that. You can say movie place or movie. I say for theater. This is the sign for acting, like theater. Like I went to the theater. Because this is a sign for like acting, show, that. So I tend to not do movie theater because then I think that's telling them I went to see Broadway, whereas I went to go see a screen. But if you're doing that, if you're going to go see a play, what? Oh, I had one more. What did I have? Oh, playground. So playground is play, sign for play. It's 2 Y's, shake them back and forth, play, area. Play area. Play area. Yes, that's how the sign for playground is, which makes a lot of sense because at first I was like, remember my teacher saying, there's really not actually a sign for playground. I was like, what are you talking about? Playground's a popular thing. Like everybody has been on a playground their whole life. She goes, well, it's play area. And I was like, oh, I see what you mean. It doesn't need its own like little individual like sign like store does because that's, it's, you can add words and stuff. So, but that was just me being like, oh, that's crazy. And then being like, you know what, logic kind of hit right there and made sense. So doesn't always happen easily for me like that. So this is why I was very surprised. But all right, we will stop here. I know I gave you guys a lot of signs, but like I said, that first meeting, I said, I am very content heavy. I give you guys a lot of signs. Last week was a little different. I was a little like, okay, you see it a little. Now I'm just like, nope, every sign you're going to see is going to happen. And that tends to happen for the rest of the class. Again, don't feel stressed. You have the videos to see. There are also old quizzes to look at. I will try my very best to get videos. I won't lie, school's been a little crazy right now. We're just trying to get back into swing of things and lots of things are happening. So it's been challenging trying to figure out when I can set up videos, and my laptop is kind of messed up. So I can't like really voice on it, and not a problem at school, but kind of a problem here. You kind of need to hear me saying the words. I feel that just helps. So doing them on my iPad really limits all my abilities. So, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed all my talking. I do talk a lot. I talk fast. I know. It's just myself. So
thank you, Gillian.
I hope you guys have the great rest of your week. Sorry.
Thank you. See you next week.